We don't have enough destroyers at sea. We don't have enough Army ballistic missile defense systems.
최유린의 코리아뷰. 세계 최강의 군사대국 미국에서 지금 예상 밖의 상황이 벌어지고 있습니다. 중동에서 막대한 방공 자산을 소모하자 미국 전 부통령이 CNN에 출연해 수많은 동맹국 가운데 갑자기 한국을 직접 지목한 겁니다. 그런데 그가 한국을 꺼낸 이유를 따라가자 이미 중동 한복판에서 벌어진 놀라운 상황까지 드러났습니다. 도대체 미국은 왜 지금 한국을 찾기 시작한 걸까요? 최근 미국이 마주한 문제는 단순히 어떤 무기가 더 강하냐의 문제가 아닙니다. CNN은 이란의 공격을 막는 과정에서 미국이 상당한 패트리엇을 소모했고 그 여파가 러시아의 공격을 버텨야 하는 우크라이나까지 이어지고 있다고 전했습니다. 그렇다면 세계 최강의 군사대국 미국이라면 이 정도 문제는 충분히 해결할 수 있지 않을까요? 하지만 현실은 정반대였습니다. 여러 전선을 동시에 감당하면서 미국의 방공 자산에도 부담이 커지기 시작한 겁니다. 그리고 바로 이 순간 미국 전직 부통령의 입에서 뜻밖에도 한국이라는 이름이 등장합니다. 그런데 진짜 놀라운 건 그 다음에 이어진 이야기였습니다. 단순히 한국의 이름을 언급하고 넘어간 것이 아니었습니다. 우크라이나가 절박하게 무기를 요청하고 미국마저 여러 전선에서 부담이 커진 바로 이 순간 미국 전직 부통령은 전혀 예상하지 못했던 해법을 꺼내놓기 시작합니다. 특히 한국이 어떤 역할을 할 수 있는지 구체적으로 설명하기 시작하면서 이야기는 예상 밖의 방향으로 흘러갑니다. 도대체 미국 전직 부통령이 한국에서 발견한 해답은 무엇이었을까요?
Here with me now from Ukraine is former Vice President Mike Pence. Thank you so much for being here. You are in Kyiv. You met with President Zelensky. What did he tell you about this moment for Ukraine and what they still need?
Ukraine is winning this war. 4.5 years after that brutal and unprovoked invasion by Russia, Ukraine's military on the front lines has fought Russia to a stalemate. And by essentially reinventing drone warfare, they've taken the fight directly in to the heart of Russia. They've sunk ships in the Black Sea. It's really been extraordinary. They have challenges with ballistic missiles that President Zelensky and I talked about, Dana.
Well, you mentioned the missiles that they have effectively run out of U.S.-made Patriot missiles.
But recently, and I think it's an act of desperation, Vladimir Putin has begun to fire those high-arc ballistic missiles into Ukraine, and without a sufficient amount of either Patriot or THAAD, anti-ballistic missile systems, they essentially are going to be deeply vulnerable, particularly in the winter months. South Korea has interceptors that are very sophisticated. And with some of the back and forth between the president and South Korea this week, this might be an opportunity for President Lee to step forward, make those interceptors available to the United States to deploy either in the Middle East or here in Ukraine or to European allies who could do the same. So it really is an extraordinary time in the life of this country's fight for 4.5 years, and but I want to say to your viewers around the world, to be on the ground here after the devastating attacks of this last week by Russia, and seeing the resolve and the determination, Ukraine is winning this war, and if we give them what they need, they're going to secure their sovereignty and a peaceful and just future. I just know it with all my heart.
President Trump, turning to Iran, says the situation in Iran is so good, but 6 months into a war that he said would last about 6 weeks, he's stuck in a stalemate. His 60-day ceasefire expired, no signs of a peace deal or plans for further talks. And this morning, Iran's president says that it is in a full-scale war with the U.S. If you were still Donald Trump's vice president, what would you advise him to do right now?
Well, first, I just want to reiterate, I think President Trump did exactly the right thing, taking the fight for the first time directly to the mullahs in Tehran last year and again this year in Operation Epic Fury. Our military did a brilliant job. The USS Abraham Lincoln is steaming home. I know some folks that were flying aircraft off that ship. They took down 13,000 sites, but then they stopped, Dana, as you suggest. We started into a period of ceasefires. We negotiated the 60-day MOU, which turned out to be for naught. And I think, as the president announced strong new D-Day style economic sanctions, It's going to be absolutely imperative that we keep the pressure on and that we keep the military assets in the region to be able to take the action that I believe is going to be inevitable. But I think it's going to be essential that we keep the pressure on, keep the military assets in the region.
I want to ask you about something a little closer to home in the U.S., and that is the new renewed trade war between Canada and the U.S. going dollar for dollar on 50% tariffs. Does that help Americans right now?
I know the tough line President Trump draws, but my hope is, for the sake of American families and for the sake of the American economy, that what we're looking at here is negotiation and not confrontation in a trade war, and that's how I would advise the president.
그런데 펜스의 발언을 단순한 아이디어로 보기에는 이상한 점이 있었습니다. 수많은 동맹국 가운데 왜 하필 이 순간 이런 선택지를 꺼냈을까요? 그 이유를 확인하기 위해 중동으로 시선을 돌리자 이미 예상 밖의 일이 벌어지고 있었습니다. 실제 위기가 닥친 순간 놀라운 결과가 나타났고 이후 현지의 반응은 더욱 뜻밖이었습니다. 도대체 중동에서는 무슨 일이 벌어진 걸까요?
A missile streaking across the night sky suddenly explodes in a flash overhead. As Iranian strikes push U.S. security to the limit, South Korea's Cheongung-2, deployed in the UAE, has been thrust into active combat. Soaring at Mach 5, it neutralizes ballistic missiles at an altitude of 20 kilometers. Its power is now combat-proven in the UAE. Active batteries launched around 60 interceptors, achieving a staggering 96% success rate. As tensions in the Middle East escalated, the UAE issued an urgent request for support from South Korea to strengthen its missile defense. South Korea quickly supplied 30 Cheongung-2 interceptor missiles. UAE political scientist known as an unofficial advisor to the president publicly expressed his gratitude on social media, proven in battle, driven by technology. South Korea stands as a trusted partner with the U.S. protecting the peace of our allies.
여기까지만 보면 단순히 뛰어난 성능 때문이라고 생각할 수 있습니다. 하지만 미국 전직 부통령이 이런 선택지까지 꺼낸 진짜 이유는 따로 있었습니다. 미 해군에서 30여년을 복무한 퇴역 장성이 현재 미군의 상황을 설명하기 시작하자 세계 최강 미국에서 쉽게 상상하기 힘든 현실이 드러납니다. 특히 그가 마지막에 꺼낸 문제는 생각보다 훨씬 심각했는데요. 이 이야기를 듣고 나면 펜스의 발언이 전혀 다르게 보이기 시작합니다.
China learned from tensions between Washington and its Asian allies.
Well, China's learning that we're easy to distract. I mean, we've been distracted in Europe and Ukraine and others got involved in that and created bad relations between the United States and its European NATO allies. We've been distracted in the Middle East. We're using our munitions up significantly there. You know, China's learning that the United States has a simultaneity problem. We can't deal with two theaters simultaneously. The George Washington Carrier Strike Group is leaving the Indo-Pacific now to go to the Middle East, and we will be with basically a destroyer to spread throughout the whole Western Pacific. So if China were in a position to take advantage of it, which I'm not sure they are at this moment, but if they were, they could take advantage of it. So it's a really strong negative deterrent signal from the United States that we're unable to handle two theaters simultaneously.
And the USS Abraham Lincoln, as you well know, has spent an extraordinary amount of time at sea. You commanded a carrier strike group, as I understand it. And what does it signal more broadly about the demands being placed on the U.S. military right now?
Well, that's the real key here, is that if this kind of where we're doing blockade ops, protecting the Bab el-Mandeb, protecting two carrier strike groups, maintaining a defense of Israel with ballistic missile assets, and both at sea and ashore, and extra fighter squadrons to potentially do attacks. We're really stressing the military. It's very light. Another 6 to 8 months of this, and we're going to have a massive, what we call a readiness bathtub. That's where 18 months from now to 2 years from now, our fighter squadron readiness is down around 30%. We're unable to deploy aircraft carriers. We don't have enough destroyers at sea. We don't have enough Army ballistic missile defense systems. The systems we use in Iran are key to a war fight with China or Russia. And so if you have a readiness decline in those, a significant one, 2 to 3 years from now, we're not going to be ready for a conflict with just one opponent in 2 or 3 years. And that's because of this, these long 12 to 18 month deployment span that we're looking at total for the force to deal with this Iran issue.
불과 과거만 해도 한국은 미국에 첨단 무기를 도입하며 안보를 강화하는 동맹국이라는 이미지가 강했습니다. 하지만 지금은 상황이 달라지고 있습니다. 미국의 전직 부통령이 한국에 정교한 요격 미사일을 직접 거론했고 중동에서는 한국산 천공이가 실제 위협을 상대하며 성과를 보여주고 있습니다. 어쩌면 한국 방산의 진짜 변화는 무기 하나를 더 수출했다는 데 있지 않을지도 모릅니다. 미국의 무기를 필요로 하던 나라에서 이제는 미국조차 필요할 때 떠올리는 동맹으로 한국의 전략적 가치가 달라지고 있다는 사실이 더욱 주목되는 이유입니다. 세계가 한국을 바라보는 시선은 우리가 생각하는 것보다 빠르게 달라지고 있습니다. 해외에서 먼저 나타나는 대한민국의 놀라운 변화들 앞으로도 가장 빠르게 전해드리겠습니다. 대한민국의 새로운 이야기가 궁금하시다면 구독과 좋아요 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.